good iron in these parts. An old king even used it to build a castle.
Hello there, Sorry from 17 once again. This is my Dark Souls 2 walkthrough, and we are in Helm's Deep apparently, or so the video says. But this is the Iron Keep. And this is probably the most important place in the game, as far as building a character and becoming stronger. Also, you have to come here. There's only one way to get out of coming here, and that is to farm souls to pass the Shrine of Winter without ever facing the bosses. Which is not really advisable, because it's kind of like saying don't play the game, and why would you buy a game if you're not going to play it? But this place is important because not only does it have the Ember, which is the only Ember in the game and the only way you can get Macduff to start making your weapons infused, but it also gives you access to two of the most frequented PvP sites in the game. On top of that, you can also farm large Titanite shards and things like that. So there's a lot of benefits to being here. You can get your first katana here. You can farm souls here. This is a great place to farm souls. It is easily the most important place in Dark Souls 2 for gameplay. And the people who are interested in the player versus player aspects, the bridge we just passed is a very high trafficked area. It does everything from red signs to dragon signs to straight up invasions. If you stand there in human form or you invade from there, you're going to find people who want to fight. So it's decent in that regard. I personally think it's probably the worst place they could have picked to be that kind of area, because the bridge is so biased towards range and magic users, it's kind of dumb, but that's just me. And then the other one is the other belfry, which you're not going to see in this playthrough. But that belfry is probably the new equivalent of the forest, because it's a rather large area that you can stand in and people will invade you just for being there. So I personally think it's significantly more fun than the kind of clock tower area of the other belfry, because that place is just, it's not fun to fight in. There's too many holes in the floor, it's too small. Like, I know there's people that love that kind of stuff, but I just don't think it rewards a fun fight. I think it turns everything into a clusterfuck, and that's not really how I like to PvP. But the Ember is the most important thing, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how to get it. I've also just showed you then that you can now aim magic with the binoculars. If you're a magic build, the most important item in your list is going to be the binoculars, because it enables you to fire them where you want them to go, and you really can't overestimate just how useful it is until you've used it. And there was a very rare instance of iframes while doing something in this game, because for some reason one of the design choices was to make you more vulnerable at pretty much every single part of every animation you do. This guy's an idiot and he does that, which is always nice to see. But you want to be careful on your left here, because there's another one of the Alone Captains, and this is an enemy that can bleed you very quick. It has a great bow and it just does big damage. It's a very dangerous enemy. The fog in front of that is the sub-boss of this area, a boss that a lot of people fear. It's also an optional boss, and I am not doing it for that purpose. I am going to be making a second walkthrough on New Game Plus, and I will be fighting all the bosses. So if there's any boss that you want to see me fight, you will get that in the second iteration of this guide. But as it stands, I'm kind of conflicted, because a part of me wants to let people request what I use in that, and then a part of me kind of doesn't. Because whenever you give an audience or a community of people free reign to select what you use in something, it generally always goes to the novelty stuff, and you know, you can't please everybody with that, which is just, it is what it is. And I don't really want it to be a challenge run, because I want it to act as a walkthrough for somebody who's having trouble themselves. This is really interesting too here. I managed to do something that I've never seen before, and I have no idea what I did. And I've beaten the Iron Keep probably over 30 times at this point, as I bait the arrows so I can start killing these guys with Resonant Soul. Something to bear in mind, Resonant Soul will steal 100 souls off you per use. Great Resonant Soul steals 500, and if you crazy enough to want to use Climax, it will take all of your souls. Which is definitely something I should have read before I used it. But there is no reticle for the binoculars, but you've just got to play it by eye. It's generally the centre of the screen is where the projectile goes. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky, but as soon as you do it for a handful of times, you'll get much better at it. So this is what I did. For some reason, there is a flame coming on here and blocking the ladder. And I don't know why. I've never seen this before. I don't know what triggered it, I don't know what did it, I don't know why, and I've never been able to recreate it. I know that those pots there next to the door, on the walkway, if you break one of those, they blow up and they emit fire, but I don't know why it did this. I was stunned. And I'm sure somebody understands what's happening right now and they'll elucidate in the comments, but suffice to say, I was pretty confused because I'd never seen it before. And there doesn't seem to be a good reason for it to be there. It's just fire coming out of nowhere, but alas, when you record anything, you know, the one thing you didn't want to happen always kind of happens, and I got this random doorway of fire. But luckily enough, it is timed, so it does give you the ample opportunity to get through it. I just baffled by what it was, where it came from, and what I'd done wrong. Like, there's no reason for it to be doing that. Where does the fire come from? So strange. But there you go, Dark Souls 2. It's a fun game, but boy is it broken in places for reasons I just can't explain. But now that we've got rid of all the alone captains, it means we're not going to get hassled as we climb up here. And this is a very strange place, this one, because the ironclads can break the floor with the overhead swing. And it's the only area in the game where this is a thing. And I think it's a cool idea. I just don't understand why it doesn't play a bigger role. It's just this one area and then never used again. So I don't know if that speaks of a developer trying to do too many things, so much so that they overlooked a lot of them, or if it was just something that they thought, oh, that might be cool, we'll have a bridge here that they can break. Yeah, no idea. But this here is another one of those gauntlet rooms where you kind of wonder, was it really so necessary to have this many fellas in one space? But this one is much easier than any of the others, because you can run past 90% of everything in this room, which is really useful. But now that we've raised the platform, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run towards this first guy. I'm going to hit the button on that green plating. It's going to drop the thing that he stood on. Then I'm going to run this way. I'm going to hit this green button. I say green, it looks kind of green when you're far away. When you get close, it's just kind of concretey. And if you do it correctly, unlike I just did then, you can drop them without them being able to attack you. And all you need to do is deal with the ironclad here, and then get past the traps. So when I first came through this place, there's a ladder in an area that I just did not see, and I was not alone on that. There's a handful of people in the comments that mentioned they didn't see it either, so it's the perfect example of hiding something in plain sight. Because the player's too focused on dodging the traps, they don't see the salvation of the ladder, and the ladder leads to a bonfire. So if anybody's having issues in this area with the Iron King, because you can't get a bonfire and you hate the run back, there is a secret one, you just didn't find it like a lot of us didn't. But this is another area with an interesting idea. This right here is a guillotine of some sort. It's a barrier that is multi-purposeful. It turns into a guillotine. And if it hits these enemies, it will instantly kill them. And if it hits you, it'll probably do the same. It's just, it never makes an appearance anywhere else really, aside from the timed doors. And anybody wondering what those timed doors are, the only thing I can think of is they're masking the loading screen. They're essentially, especially if you go to Aldia's Keep, where you press the bull's nose ring thing, or the dragon's nose thing, it's unspawning or despawning the level behind you, and it's spawning in the level in front. And it's literally hardware limitations, I believe. The reason those rooms exist is because these machines are being pushed to their limits and they're trying to do too much. So, unfortunately on PC you're just going to have a couple of redundant rooms because PC loads really quickly. Like if you've got an SSD, it probably loads even faster. But now that we've turned all the fire off using that button and we've hit our bonfire, we just have to kill one more Ironclad, and then there's the embraced soul of this area, which is the Old Iron King. And this is one of those bosses that is very, very easy, but if you get unlucky or unfortunate or you put yourself in a bad spot, you can die just as easily as he can die. And because I've got Resonant Soul, I'm going to be using it quite a lot at distance, and then when he gets close, I'm going to be using my maces. Because the problem I have with this boss is a similar problem I have to a lot of them. When they start to die, they get a little bit spammy. This is the worst case scenario of all the bosses though, because he spams his fire attack and he goes under the lava. And those two attacks are something that are both difficult to punish, because one of them you can't punish because he's not there, and the other one is dangerous because you can get hit by whatever the hell he's doing, because hardly any of his fire breaths are static, they're all kind of moving. And on this instance you want to be hitting him with your spells, but be careful because as soon as he starts to do this, it means he's going to fire his palm at you, so you want to get around and then swing back in and do some hits. The palm attack is the one you want because it's the easiest to spot and it's the easiest to dodge and it's one of the longest to punish. But if he hits you with his hand, or if you walk too fast to the right and he tracks with you, he will push you off the level. I know this through experience, so heed my warning. But there goes the Old Iron King. All we need to do now is move through here. We're going to be able to get another one of these Sublime Bone Dusts, and we're going to be able to light another Primal Bonfire. So there's your Sublime Bone Dust, and then directly ahead of us is the aforementioned bonfire. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope the guide is helping, and as always, you take care now.